I'm not going to read out the evacuation procedure because we all know we've got no visitors. Just to remind you, please don't leave the station where we all meet until Cass ticked you off the list, so we don't get people coming in looking for you. Apologies. So I've got one apology from Councillor Reary and substitute by Councillor Osborne. Welcome. Any disclosable pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest from anyone?
Not interests as much, but just to let you know that we as a group will be abstaining from the budgetary votes.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. Public participation, we haven't got any. The minutes of the last board meeting held on the 27th of November. You'll see that's on page 5 of 87. So have I got any comments on that? Everybody happy to accept those as an accurate record? I'll take silence as nodding. So thank you very much. We'll accept those. Sorry. Moving on to item 6, which is the general fund revenue budget. Nigel, have you got anything you'd like to introduce in this one?
I haven't got anything in addition to what's already in the report, and to say on the amenity cleaning, obviously to continue the additional cleaning would need to be a growth bid going forward. And the community grants in effect was a one-off, so that's been removed from 26, 27, 25, 26 onwards.
Thank you. So just on that one then, so you might remember that in the year that's just finished, this current year, we had extra money. We had extra money put in for cleaning, streetscape cleaning, and it's been very well received. And also when we had our resident survey, it was one of the things that people really valued. So that was put in 125,000 for this current year, and it was a one-off, so it's not in the budget at the moment for the coming year. So I'm going to suggest when we get to the recommendations that we recommend there is a growth bid to include it in the coming year. If that's accepted by everybody, that will go forward to the February meeting of CNE board when all the growth bids come in. So that's just to clarify that. Right, are there any other comments or questions on this paper? Yes, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. A question I'd like to ask, or probably two. Firstly, would be on the, I think it was domestic, no, I beg your pardon. It's on 444 recycling. Talking about the Sherborne recycling, we was talking about the gate fees, etc., and rebate elements, etc. I just wondered what the policy was of money going into this place and what we're getting back to, so to speak. I'm just seeing seems to be a little bit increase there of 56 due to gate fees. I just wondered if I could explain on that. And you mentioned, Chair, about high streets being cleaned further. And I know that Kath has been included in one of my emails, in particular questioning about the money that's spent. Is it just for the high streets? Because I do have a massive problem in the area in Coleshill to do with the 446, because unfortunately that is a dual carriageway and suffers badly, and it's a joint thing between the county council and the borough. So I'm requesting a joint operation, but I'm sure Kath might be able to help me on that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So two questions, one on Sherborne and one on the 8446.
I'll let you go with the Sherborne. You more about it.
So there is a separate report on Sherborne coming. Apologies, because the budget reports come in this cycle. There is a separate report coming on Sherborne explaining the original business case and how much we're currently getting in terms of material rebate. A lot of it is to do with that. There's lots of, I mean, the material recycling market is hugely volatile at the best of times. There's been quite a number of hits to the plastic markets at the moment. So we're not getting the rebates back that we would have anticipated for quite a lot of that. The detail will be in the next report that you get explaining some of those things, but that's predominantly the reasoning with a number of the major suppliers leaving the UK market, which then means we then have to go looking for other suppliers, and inevitably, because they then become short-term contracts, you end up paying a bit more. But you know, I can provide you with some more detail outside of the meeting, but I think you'll find we'll cover quite a bit of that when you get the next report.
April 6th.
April 6, yes. So in terms of the 125,000 that the chair spoke about in terms of the growth bit, that isn't particularly for just the town centres, that's for the villages as well. That's right across the borough. In terms of the 8446, that's a particular set of issues. And it relates to the fact that we can't go on and clean certain areas of the A road without the county putting full lane closures in place. Now, the difficulty is we're at their behest in a way. We can't go in there unless they've got an identified lane closure to go in there. So the frequency of cleaning is really how frequently they want to close the road and put the traffic management out. We have gone back to them, and I know we've had some letters in from residents, and we've suggested that the residents go to the county council and speak to the county council direct about funding some extra closures. If the county put in additional closures, we can clean the road, but we cannot go on there without that traffic management in place.
Thank you, Kath, for you, Chair. Kath is spot on because it does require lane closures. And when I have asked the county council, as I have done for the past 2.5 years, it's usually when resources allow and when we've got other things involved. But we have great problems with that particular road on cleanliness, with other things like A-frames that are left. I think it's what they call redundant equipment, cones, sandbags, A-frames, you name it. And it's just been one hell of a frustration for me as a local member to try and get that place cleaned up. It's the town people and its visitors that suffer going through. I appreciate HS2 isn't helping, but I will talk off outside this chamber, and I will talk to the county council. But it's the help, I hope, of the borough council saying that we cannot do the cleaning without getting on to the lanes with full closures, etc. All I want is a plan of action so I can tell residents this is what we've achieved. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Sure, you get that up outside. Are there any more questions or comments on this report? Major.
On 2.4, central sport, is that the norm that we have an increase, or does it also take into account the national insurance contribution increase as well now?
Chair, yes, it does. It's got built in the national insurance increase. It's fully costed in there, along with pay awards or expected pay awards.
Okay. Any others? In which case, if there's no more comments or questions, we'll go back to the recommendations then. To improve the estimated outturn, to improve the estimates as presented for the inclusion of overall tax set report, etc. Approve the fees and charges in Appendix C, and I'm going to add another one, which is to recommend that the 105,000 for additional streetscape work to continue into the coming year. I've got a proposer. Thanks, Byron. Seconded by Peter. Paolo, thank you. Those in favour? Any against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. So we move on now to the capital programme, which is on page 26. And again, do you want to say anything about this?
Most of it is explained in the text, but I will say on the appendix, the figure in first column, the 13,500, that's about halfway down, is the correct figure. And in the right-hand column, it should also say 13,500 instead of 50,000, which will change the overall total at the bottom in that right-hand column to 12,165,621.
and you all see what we're talking about there. If you look at, it's supposed to those figures are supposed to carry across to the final right-hand column, which should be the total of the 3 previous columns. And in that one particular case, which is the Play Area Replacement Programme General Fund, where it's got 13,500 in the first column, that doesn't obviously add up to 50,000 in the right-hand column. So that's what Nigel's making an adjustment there for that. Okay. So you can see, the other thing I'd like to just mention is most of these things that are on this capital programme are in our reserves or budget. They're all there earmarked for these to be spent in this way, except for the pavilion works. Now, the pavilion works is it's really important to us because we know that our pavilions need upgrading, some of them seriously upgrading, and that football teams are dependent on those facilities to enable them to play in certain leagues. That 1.5 million there is not yet in the budget, and I know that our officers are looking at all opportunities to get funding in, because that's our target, that's what we want to do. But that money is not yet sitting, waiting to be spent. So just make a bit of a distinction between that particular line and the rest of the capitals that's listed there. Kate.
Does this include, I know we've spoken about it before, I haven't had a chance to go catch up, with the budget that was set aside for the changing rooms as well?
Which changing?
There was I think there was a budget, I think it was about 8,000 to do the assessments on the.
Oh, the condition service.
Yes, yeah.
I think the condition service has been completed, has it, Becky?
Yes.
Oh, it has. Okay. So we know how bad they are. We just have to do something about it.
So is that. So we know what we know now. Thank you.
Andy Jones. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the pavilion works, I know that one's not there at the moment, but I don't see any mention of Sycamore Road in Kingsbury, and I know that I do get complaints about footballers having to change in the open air. Is there any sort of future plans to do anything about Sycamore Road?
Jackie.
Through you, Chair, I think at the moment, all the funding that we're going for is to sort out our ones that are already there. But happy to look at other provision kind of when we sort those out, because there's some really good potential assets in the borough already. But happy to look at those once we've kind of covered off what we've already got.
Thank you.
Okay. Peter Fowler. Councillor Fowler. Did you have your hand up, Peter? Oh, it's Ray, sorry.
Thanks, Chair. 4.2, provision for pitch improvements at the QE Academy. I think I've brought this up before, but unfortunately at the moment they're using that pitch as a playground, which is systematically destroying it. And I'd be rather disappointed if this council put money into it until the academy themselves start to get their act together and use it as a pitch, not as a playground. Because, as you know, I live opposite. I think it's about 10, 12 years old now, that pitch is. It's well past its sell-by date, and in places it's almost shiny. So it's difficult. But to say they use it as a playground at the moment, and I think we need some serious discussions with the academy that yes, we're able to do this, but we're able to do this as long as they come to the party and ensure that that pitch is used for what it's designed for, not as a playground.
Thank you. Is this on that topic?
It is.
Yeah, you're the first then.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just agreeing with what I said, really. I mean, if it's that poor a standard and the academy are not doing anything to prevent it being that poor a standard, how are they ensuring it? You know, I'm not sure it's fit for purpose.
So, Becky, can you respond on this?
I'm going to hand over to Mike on this one.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay,
Sorry,
sorry.
not me.
we can pick that up with the academy in our discussions with them.
Yeah.
The £75,000 is earmarked for area section 1 and 6 monies. So that's money that can obviously come through neighbouring development. But yes, we can pick that up.
I think, through you, Chair, but I think since the day it started, they have never maintained it. They're supposed to, it's a sand-based pitch, that they're supposed to have a big sweeper on it every so often to redistribute the sand and everything. They've never done anything with it. And
Okay.
it's an excellent facility that's used sort of 8 days a week if it was available. But it's systematically being destroyed. And it's an asset to North Warwickshire because there's loads of people using it, Hockey Club for one, and the Hockey Club have got hundreds of members, throughout the area, that we just need to ensure that that facility is available there for North Warwickshire. And at the moment, it's getting close to the fact that it probably won't be in the foreseeable future.
Okay, Emma?
Thanks, Chair. Have we got a service level agreement or something that, we've obviously been involved with them in the past, and if that pitch is put in and we've got an investment in it, surely there should have been some service agreement with upkeep. Just wondering if we have, and
Mike? Thank you.
Yes, there is a joint arrangement between the academy and the council, which does allow for a sinking fund in there as well. So we can bring that up in discussions in the future.
any more?
Thank you. So if we move on then to the recommendation that we support the schemes detailed in Appendix A and the Council's current 3-year programme for community development board, subject to further bids considered at the February meeting. Right, can I propose that, please? Thanks, Major, seconded by Andy Jones. Those in favour? Any against? Abstentions? Thank you. So, moving on to agenda item 8, which is financial assistance to outside organisations. And you will remember last year or the year before, we agreed to focus on citizens' advice. And you'll see that's what's being proposed going forward. And the other change is that we are proposing that we give them a 3-year allocation so that they can plan, because previously it's been 1 year at a time. So that's what's being suggested here. Yes, Ray.
Through Joe, do we have sight of their accounts? So when I was mayor, you obviously sit on their panel, and I don't think we've ever, I certainly have never seen the accounts presented. As we give them money, we should, in my opinion, know what their financial situation is.
Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Chair. It's not something that we've ever brought to board before, but that's not to say that we can't ask for it if that's something that the board would like to see moving forward. I think they're on my side. I have to put them on anyway.
Mike.
Yeah, again, find myself agreeing with Councillor Jarvis. So we're dangerous. We are opposite each other, but it's not happening, is it? He raises another good point when it's sums of money that we're putting in for year on year. It's a great cause, by the way. Fully support it. But there does need to be some transparency when you're funding things like that for the public purpose.
Perhaps we could circulate the accounts
Yes.
to members as and when they're available. Thank you. Andy Jensen. And then
Thank you,
Major. Sorry.
When we had this report last year, I asked if in future it could have some kind of breakdown to show the activity by area or by ward. I can't see that in the report this time, so I wonder if that was fed back to them and whether, if not, whether we could ask for it again.
Through you, Chair. It absolutely was fed back, so I apologise that they didn't pick that up. I'll go back to Citizen Advice and ask for an amendment because they did agree with it.
Okay,
Thank you for pointing that out.
Major, and then Peter.
I think it was similar to Councillor Gents was asking for a breakdown of which ward they carry their work out.
Thank you. Keith?
Thank you, Chair. Just to say, well, CAB, as a former member many years ago and was there for many years, I could see for myself the amount of work and great work and help that they've given to our citizens throughout many years. And having something that will give them 3 years to plan ahead is a fantastic idea, and I'm happy to support and propose. Thank you.
Thank you. More? Okay. So we've got a proposal for the recommendation, which is that we know the work undertaken by Reforged Citizens Advice and that we approve the grant for the next 3 consecutive years. The second of that, please. Those in favour? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you very much. That's carried. Right, the next item, agenda 9, on the agenda, item 9, is the fly tipping update. Yeah, so is Andy available?
Apologies, Chair, I don't think he's here this evening.
All right, okay. So, well, you've got the report in front of you, and it seemed very interesting, the overview of the incident, which is on page 46, which illustrates all sorts of things. First of all, that a lot of our fly tipping is imported from elsewhere. And secondly, just how difficult it is to get a prosecution, even when you've got evidence. And now that we've got a dedicated officer to this, I'm sure that he will be doing everything he can to make sure the word gets out there. Some rubbish in North Warwickshire. We're not going to let it go. We will follow it up. So it's a shame Andy's not here, because I'd like to thank him for what he's doing, even though it really is a difficult task. It's something we all take seriously. Katie.
Thank you, Chair. I think what he's doing is really, really good. I get tagged on Twitter if there's anything in Hartshill, and these little updates are actually really helpful. I can only agree with his frustration on fly tipping, because we can see the reports, and what we all know, every single one of us has seen fly tipping. It's not anything new. It's just really, really frustrating that despite evidence like is on there, that the prosecution rate's so low. And I'm sure I'd be really interested to see how Andy's first 6 months have gone. And an update from him would be really welcome, because he's really passionate and is a good character. So I wish him all the best, and I think everyone would agree with sending him some thanks for the work he's doing. I think he's brilliant.
Did you want to make
Yes, Chair. Happy to pass on those thanks to Andy, and we have another meeting coming up, so I'll see if he's available to bring an update for members at that meeting.
And Ray.
Thanks, Chair. I think the overview of the incident is excellent. It just shows exactly what's done. The one thing that doesn't happen is this doesn't get disseminated out to the masses. I mean, I've certainly had one gentleman that was quite vocal to me about what a waste of time it was sending that stuff out. And as well, it's education for people. And when they fly tip, they don't leave the name and address on the top of it. And a lot of it is down to the people that are actually disposing of the rubbish. So there's an education in it. And I think something like this, if that could be put out on social media, where it's widely distributed, because it's totally redacted, there's no names or anything in it, and to be able to say that is what happens is a key thing to us, because it's the same. I mean, I certainly, in my area or in our area, if you see somebody saying, "Oh, I've put a load of rubbish at the bottom of the drive if you want to pick it up," I'll generally put a comment, just make sure it's done by a registered contractor. And it's the education. And I think this, if that report could be put out as it stands on social media through the PR people, I think that would be a good step forwards. And the second little point I'd like to make is that I've mentioned before, we've got all the refuse vehicles with great big signs on the side. It's an ideal opportunity to put all that on there because there's 2 or 3 refuse vehicles down every street 48, 49 weeks of the year.
Okay, thanks. So it's being suggested that case studies such as this one are put up there, which is a good idea. Obviously, no names, no backdoor sort of stuff, but to show what happens, that would be really helpful. And the other suggestion was that we use the sidebar bin lorries to advertise things that we want the public to take notice of. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I think I've got Pete first.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll give way over to you.
Okay, Katie.
While I agree with what Ray's saying, I posted, we spoke about it a few CNEs ago. There was like a graphic to share about the bulky waste collection, and that went down really, really well. The odd person sort of complaining that you have to pay to get rid of your rubbish because your bins don't get emptied and whatnot. But whilst I agree with what Ray's saying with posting it on social media, this is not a success story as such. I think the more frightening fly tipping is, and the more this is what's happened, this is a prosecution, this person has been named, shamed, and a successful case of prosecution, I think is the best way to move social media wise, because that's proof that it's unacceptable. Because while I appreciate the work that's gone into this, it's not a successful prosecution. But I do know what you're saying, Ray, but just maybe not.
Illustrates the process.
Oh, definitely, but just if a prosecution was at the end of it, I'd be,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, so perhaps we could handpick the case studies for the ones that we can celebrate. That would be really helpful. Thank you. Peter.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, certainly with the fixed penalty notices, isn't it so sad that we have to stay at those prices, because that, I believe, if I recall when I asked the question, it was the law. That's the maximum that this authority and others, I think, can do. I certainly agree with Ray. We've probably had it through our computers, the leaflet I'm referring to. But I think, yes, again, if we could have that sent to us, because I think I've said before, and others have probably said the same thing, that if you can send it through to us, we as members can put things on our community Facebook pages, on other social media to make people more aware. One question I would like to ask is to help with private land, because the frustration that people who own private land have, and I have to say, sorry to go back to the 446, in fact it was the Birmingham Road as well today between Coleshill and Chelmsley Wood. I actually was driving past, and I'm going to go and actually check it, but I think there was actually piles upon piles just over the hedge of people that have dumped rubbish. Now, I don't know whether it's people that have dumped rubbish or whether it's been the usage of a field further up, whether they've just been planting it on there, but I'll find out. But I'm just wondering through you, Chair, what help and advice that this authority can give to people with private land of how we can help them, because obviously it is duty bound on them, a great expense, but just wondered what help and advice we can give private landowners. Thank you.
I'm happy to pass on to Andy the areas that you just described, so you can have a look at that. But again, if I ask you to bring a briefing back, we can pick that up as part of the briefing at the next meeting in terms of private landowners. Thank you.
And sorry, Chair, to Kath, I should have said that I was going to mention to Andy tomorrow those areas that I've identified, and if I can, I'll send in photos as well. Thank you, Chair.
Any more? Okay. So in this case, we just asked to note the report, so we don't need to vote on that. I don't think somebody's going to protest loudly. We'll just move on. Thank you very much. So next item 10, is the North Warwickshire Green Space strategy, an update. You would have seen this before, but this is an update on it. Please note, this is not the playing pitch strategy. We've already approved that. That's a separate document. This is about our green spaces. So, do you want to say something, Becky?
Yeah, can we check? So in terms of the green space strategy, there should be no shock horrors in there. It's in a document that you've already seen in draft. We went back out for consultation because the elections just give a little bit of extra time. So hopefully we've taken into account those appropriate comments. The second bit is around smoke-free play areas, and I'm sure Councillor Smith will help me out when we say we had a presentation, didn't we, at the Health and Wellbeing Working Party. So the Working Party would like to endorse this proposal to this board around creating smoke-free play areas. So this would just be play areas that have photo fencing around. So those that are enclosed, we're not talking about the play areas that are in open recreational grounds. We would not enforce it. It is just to show as an authority that we would like to encourage healthy living and smoke-free areas and show our support, and we'd use that as a tool to engage with our local schools as well. And then thirdly, we already have a hire process for our green spaces, so people can already come to us and hire those out. What we have done is we've made that process a lot easier, and we would like to promote the opportunity for people to hire it. It gets a bit more income, and it gets people to take a little bit more ownership of their green space, and we can then plough the income back into the maintenance of our areas. So the hire process, like I say, already in place. This just smooths it out a little bit, makes it consistent. So they're the three things that we want us to focus on this report.
Emma?
Sorry, I was trying to find where it says about the higher fees, but I couldn't scroll quick enough. But I noticed at the bottom, when I was reading it at the bottom, it was for the large events, it was to be, can't remember the phrase, something like negotiated on request, something like that. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find it. I just wondered what sort of criteria you would be thinking of applying to that, because that seems a little bit vague. I understand in principle why it would need to be, you know, if there's like tens of thousands of people versus a few or something, then you would have to negotiate. But I just wondered, have you got a behind the scenes idea of how you would process that? Thank you.
For those looking for it, it's on page 821.
Thank you.
Scroll.
Yeah, do you share? We're not expecting that we're suddenly going to get hordes of people hiring our green spaces for any major event. So what it does do, it gives a little bit of leeway. So if we do get one-off events that we've never seen before, we can kind of bring it back to officers, have a conversation, and so we're not kind of pulled down to a single price. We do get a lot of small hires. We get the odd circus. We get a lot of community groups asking to do various events in the park. So we've always said if it's for charity, it would be free, but if they're charging, and then we would charge. So yeah, in terms of the price on application, it would just be then a conversation as to what and where and why that event's taken place.
So, sorry, can I respond to that? Yeah, I was just interested really in how you would sort of event plan that, and sort of thinking, because obviously we've got land as well as a parish, and we're sort of looking at this quite interestingly to sort of see if we can match some of it. We're doing a lot of work at the moment, aren't we, Mike, in our parish about transparency and due diligence and the whole risk process and so on. And we're just wondering sort of if we could perhaps be involved in anything that you may or may do going forward to sort of think about the structure behind the scenes. So that we'd be interested, wouldn't we? I'm sure I'm answering for you, Mike, but I know that we've had conversations, so please nod or give me something. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, happy to share that. Steph's done a lot of documents and kind of web pages behind this where people can apply, so I'm happy to go through that separately.
It's a good point though, Becky, isn't it? That obviously we would be doing due diligence on whoever wanted to hire to make sure they've got all the insurances, And sorry, if we can help parish councils by sharing that process, all parish councils, that would be really helpful because they all own bits of land.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I do actually know what she's talking about. I was pretending. Yeah, if we could mirror that sort of thing, I think that's the approach we'd like to take, just to make sure that it's the same process for us as it is that you're using, and then it matches. That's the sort of thing we're trying to say.
Okay, that's great. I've got Peter and then Ray.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, welcomed report. Quite timely for me on section 5 about smoke-free places, certainly for children. And it's quite timely because I know we've got a licensing committee coming up, and I have spoken to the chair, Councillor Jen, about this. And this is my frustration while we're promoting about smoke-free areas for children. And I'm sure it probably happens in certain pubs and hotels in other areas, but in Coleshill, I get so frustrated where I see people standing outside of pubs and hotels smoking while parents and children are walking by, inhaling the smoke. And I will be asking through Andy where we can look at licensing, where we can start to say, as licensees, it is your responsibility to ensure that people don't smoke. I know it's not for this particular committee, but it's just quite timely. So thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Chair. As someone that's run the occasional 20 or 30 events over the years, there's a document called the Purple Guide that if you subscribe to that, you get the updates as and when they come through. That covers all the sorts of events in chapter and verse. And the other one is it's best to set up what are called SAG meetings, Safety Advisory Group meetings, with the local authority. And if you contact the police, they have got somebody that actually, that is their focus. But the Purple Guide it's a massive document, but it contains pretty well everything that you'll need.
Thank you very much. Anything else on this? We'll just go back to the recommendation. Sorry, there we go. Any more? No? Okay, so the recommendation that we adopt the revised green space strategy and consider the recommendation to propose smoke-free play areas. I haven't heard anybody talk against that, and seeing that's in there. And that we note the updated hire process. Okay, so I would propose for that, please. Thanks, Ray, seconded by Major. All those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much. Moving on. So we've got 2 lots of minutes from our Health and Wellbeing Working Party. We've got some from September and then the latest one from 2nd of December. So I'm going to hand over to Sandra. And it's her working party to just highlight things she wishes us to take note of.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. We've got 2 sets of meetings, 2 sets of minutes from meetings. In September, we had a visit from the, I'm trying to find out her name. I haven't got her name. Public health consultant. Anyway, she was talking to us about measles and whooping cough and how increasing it's going, the numbers. What we did ask for from that is additional data, if we can, from GP surgeries on the uptakes of vaccinations. Obviously, it's quite important to try and reduce the number of children suffering with that. So we haven't heard anything back from her about that.
We've had it and it was circulated.
Was it circulated? Obviously, I didn't read that. My apologies. Or if I did, it's got it in one ear and straight out the other. So that was in September. So at our last meeting, we had a spotlight on the smoke-free generation, which we've already talked about a little bit. But we have got additional funding to increase the number of smokers uptaking the assistance to give up. And we had quite a long conversation then, because one of our councillors has volunteered to be a victim. Should I say So Councillor Hockley has volunteered to take part in the service and give up smoking. And she's going to keep us all informed on her journey, how it goes. I don't know whether she's got an update at the moment, but we look forward to the next meeting when she tells us how she's doing. It's the first time I've known her be quiet, actually, but there we go.
come
I'll
to you in a
come when
minute.
And as we've already spoken about looking at play areas, one of the things the group did talk about is involving schools to see whether we can get the children to design their own posters, which we thought might be quite interesting. And if the posters don't say something, the children might follow it up with that. And also on some of the play sites where they've got the games, the football games, if we can get people on the sidelines not to smoke, it would be great. I'm not quite sure how we would do that, but it's always worth looking at. So if anybody's got any proposals for that?
Sorry, with my midwife hat on, we as midwives are now monitoring all of the pregnant women at every single contact with a simple carbon monoxide monitor. We have safe levels. For non-smokers, we also monitor them because it could be that they've got passive smoking going on that's increasing their blood levels, or faulty boilers, or they happen to live by the A446 or something like that, Councillor Fowler, or any other area that's got high pollution rates. And seriously, now we've had women that have been found to have high levels because of pollution off roads, the road that they walk to the clinic. So it's been very interesting. So that is a very simple device that we could offer at the side of football pitches and so on. It's easy, it's really easy to use, and you know, that's my suggestion.
That's brilliant. That would be really good. So Sandra, if you can take that
I
in,
think that's what we should look into then.
Thank
We've
you.
got the funding for it. Yeah, moving on. The other thing that we've talked about is Operation Plenty. I've had some feedback from Councillor Jarvis, who said it's gone down really well over the Christmas period, where we've got our police PCSOs going out and visiting the lonely or the vulnerable, having a cup of tea and a chat with them. It's gone down really well, apparently, so I'm looking forward to hearing whether that's going to carry on in the future. Okay.
Thank you. Katie, do you want to come in?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for mentioning that, Becky. I'm still on my duty-free ones at the moment from Poland, where I went just before Christmas. However, I have been in touch with Katie, the other Katie, and I still do really want to quit smoking. I have quit smoking before when I've had the children, and it's something that I am dedicated to. I've become more healthy over the last year, and I wanted to lose a bit of weight, truth be told, before I quit smoking, because obviously you can gain weight when you quit smoking. I've done that now, so I am ready. On another note, apart from the smoking, it's been a real stressful day today, so you've all seen me smoking outside as well. But anyway, on another note, I've been working with the school council at Michael Drayton, and because they want to do their own project in Hartshill on litter, which is something that they think is really important, but they've also offered. When I've done Careers Day with Michael Drayton, every single cohort that I spoke to spoke about vaping. Every single child, not smoking, it was about vaping. And that will obviously come in, and the kids are really keen to be designing the anti-vaping posters. So I think it's a brilliant idea, and it's gone down really well with the kids. They're seeing a lot of news and noise about vaping. And the children, the primary school children are so green and forward thinking for their age, because it's all they've ever known. They really, really proactively want any disposable vapes gone. And so they're really, really keen to get involved with that. So as soon as it's signed off, get on it. And I'll keep you all informed.
That's a really good point, not just smoking but vaping, in our areas as well. So that would be fantastic if we could do that. So thank you, and thank you for your minutes, and thank you very much for the work that it's doing. Ray.
Just put my chair of the Safer Communities hat on. That obviously the police are very, very hot on the illegal vapes, and in so much there's one well-known area in Atherstone that's been hit 3 times recently. They are very keen to have, either through somebody like myself, feeding to them of where these illegal vapes can be got from, but they're very keen equally to wipe them out, because it's not, as they say, that there's always something attached to it. And I mean, there was a big drugs bust in Atherstone at the weekend, you know, some over 400 plants, which is all associated to crime. So they're very keen on getting feedback from anywhere, where they're getting these vapes from, how they're using them, the whole scenario. So the police are very keen to do it and very proactive in trying to find a way around it, which is very difficult. But I know, but they are doing a lot more than what's visible. There's a lot happening behind the scenes.
Good. Well, hopefully with all this coordinated effort, because you probably all know anyway, the county have been given a huge amount of money on this smoke-free generation. There's an awful lot of work going on. I'm just trying to encourage them to do things that are evidence-based, you know, in terms of having an impact, because we've been trying to stop people smoking for a long time. So we need to know what works and focus things on that. So, yeah. So I hope you don't mind being a case study, Katie, but, you know, it would be really helpful for somebody who's trying to stop smoking to say what would help you and what doesn't help you. And you know, what can people do to encourage people that want to stop smoking to do it?
And that's, I was, to be honest, encouraged more by Katie's explanation of the evidence-based practice. The work that's gone in behind the scenes on the whole campaign is massive, and the work behind it, and you are more likely to quit smoking. I've smoked on and off since I was 15. It's not going to be easy for me to quit smoking. I'm always a demon when I do quit smoking. It's really, really difficult because it's a serious addiction. But you are more likely, with the research, to quit smoking with the right support. Vaping at the moment is a recognised aid to quit smoking, so that there is a sort of fine balance with the anti-vaping, but it's still better than smoking.
Absolutely.
So I look forward to it, and if I look like a dragon at any point in the future, mind yourself.
Yeah, the messages coming out of county is: if you don't smoke, don't vape. If you smoke, vaping helps. That's basically so we don't want young people vaping, because that's a way into, first of all, in itself they shouldn't be doing it, but it's also a way into smoking. So it's quite a complex message, but it's one that we need to keep on. So thank you, and thank you very much, Sandra, for you and your working party for all the work they're doing. It's really good, and it's great to get your minutes. So we've just got to move on then to a little bit of P&C. So can we stop recording, please? Well, sorry, I think you probably have to record me saying this. I'm sorry, I've got to read this out. To consider in accordance with section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, that it's in the public interest that the public press be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by Schedule 12A to the Act. Are we all in favour? Thank you. Right. So now you can stop recording. Thank you. And all we have